Welcome everyone, I'm Dale and this is Cinema Historia. Two truck drivers, a loan shark, and an attractive hitchhiker. This week we're going back to 1940 for a film noir called They Drive by Night, starring George Raft, Ann Sheridan, Ida Lupino, and Humphrey Bogart. And this is directed by Raoul Walsh. So, where does our story begin this week? Well, our story begins with two brothers, Joe Fabrini, played by George Raft, and Paul Fabrini, played by Humphrey Bogart, from Los Angeles. Joe and Paul are independent truck drivers who make a meager living transporting goods. Being behind 3 payments and in fear of getting their truck repossessed by loan shark Farnsworth, they stop at Barney's Roadside Cafe to discuss their next move. Joe convinces Paul to start their own one-truck business, staying one step ahead of Farnsworth. Also at the diner, Joe meets and is attracted to waitress Casey Hartley, played by Ann Sheridan. Later, on their way to LA, the brothers pick up a hitchhiker, and Joe is pleased that it's Casey, who just quit after her boss tried to get a bit too friendly with her. Extremely overworked and tired, the 3 park at Billy Mander's Cafe for a meal and a chat. Talking with 2 truckers who work for Carlson Freight Service, Joe and Paul try to get convinced to work for a company that will give them a steady paycheck. Unconvinced and back on the road, the brothers and Casey stop at Paul's home just outside Los Angeles. Paul, being reunited with his patient though worried wife Pearl, would rather have Paul settle down in a safer, more regular job so they can both start a family. Meanwhile in the city, Joe finds Casey a place to stay as they begin to establish a relationship. The next morning, good friend Ed Carlson offers Joe a job, but Joe insists on remaining independent. Ed's wife, Lana, played by Ida Lupino, not in love with her husband, has wanted Joe for years, begins making advances. Next, Ed gives Joe a tip on a load, which results in the brothers earning enough money to finally pay off the loan shark. On the return trip, eager to see their loved ones, Joe takes a nap and leaves the driving to Paul, who begins to fall asleep at the wheel. So, does Lana have a new love and murder on her mind? Does the independent trucking business have a bright future, or does a trucking accident change the direction of our story? This film is based on a 1938 novel by Albert Isaac Bezzerides named Long Haul. An American novelist and screenwriter known for film noirs and action motion pictures, went by the nickname Buzz. Former showgirl and wife of producer Mark Hellinger convinced her husband to make this film. He reluctantly did, and it became the sleeper hit of the year for Warner Brothers. In fact, Film Inc. magazine called it a sensationally entertaining flick that was a solid box office success. And yes, rightfully so. If you enjoy a Alfred Hitchcock movie, I think you would enjoy this one as well. And our trivia question this week: was there a very interesting machine in our film? Was there a very interesting machine in our film? So, a little more history and the answer to our trivia question coming up next. Since our story involves trucking, this week for history we're going to talk about a popular truck company from that era, and that is the REO Speedwagon. So the REO Speedwagon was a light motor truck manufactured by REO Motor Car Company. The REO initials came from its founder, Ransom Eli Olds. REO was one of the better known manufacturers of commercial vehicles in America prior to World War II. While REO produced some wagons based on its automobile chassis starting in 1908 and had organized a division to produce trucks in 1910, the Speedwagon's introduction in 1915 was a significant step and sales success. The Speedwagon used REO's Gold Crown series of engines and was regarded for power, durability, and quality. Although the basic design and styling of the chassis remained consistent, the Speedwagon was manufactured in a variety of configurations to serve as delivery, tow, dump, and fire trucks, as well as hearses and ambulances. The company was soon offering a variety of Speedwagon models with many options, and by 1925 had produced 125,000 units. After years of roughly equal car and truck emphasis, REO shifted its focus completely to trucks, ending automobile production in 1936. The brilliant new Speed Delivery, first introduced in 1936, was a reasonably priced utilitarian van with a distinctly streamlined design. The Speed Delivery and its equally famous cousin, the Speedwagon pickup, would remain in production until well after the Second World War. And I found a 1937 REO Speedwagon at the Canadian Automotive Museum in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. This Speed Delivery pickup weighs in at 1,620 pounds and is powered by a 210 cubic inch inline 6-cylinder Gold Crown engine, producing 90 horsepower. REO operated a truck plant in Toronto from 1931 to 1957, and this vehicle is one of a very small number of Speed Delivery pickup trucks produced there in 1937. Production for the civilian market was suspended during World War II, resuming in 1946. And in 1967, Diamond T and REO Trucks were combined to form the Diamond REO Trucks division of the White Motor Corporation. Pretty interesting. Oh, and yes, the Rock and Roll Quintet REO Speedwagon, a popular band during the 1970s and 80s, took its name from this vehicle. And I saw that band live in the 1970s in Toronto. Pretty neat band. And the answer to our trivia question this week: was there a very interesting machine in our film? And no, it's not the truck that Joe and Paul drove. I believe that was a Sternberg Sterling truck, a motor truck company that was around from 1907 to 1953. No, the interesting machine was a pinball machine. The pinball machine played by Irish McGurn at Mandel's Diner is a Big Six, manufactured by J.H. Keeney and Company in 1939. A leading manufacturer of pinball and arcade amusements in Chicago, Illinois, they released over 160 models beginning in 1930. And in 1942, the War Production Board ordered the shutdown of all amusement machines to concentrate materials for the war effort. Pretty neat. I'd like to give a big thank you to the Canadian Auto Museum for making this video possible, and to my new subscribers, thanks very much. And I'd like to leave you with a quick movie quote from Joe Fabrini. "We're tougher than any truck ever come off the assembly line." And that goes for this picture as well. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you back next week.
Pull in the Mandels, Paul. We've been rolling pretty good.
Oh, Pearl's waiting up for me. I've been figuring on spending an hour with her.
So you spent a half hour with her. Oh, look. It's clearing up. We'll be all right.
Oh, don't stop on my account.
Oh, we gotta stop somewhere. It might as well be Mandel's.
That ain't home.
Oh, Pearl can't cook a steak like Billy Mandel.
I ain't interested in steaks.